Maswera muri Zimbabwe. Welcome to our channel. Apapanokpa inoudze chitika matimana. Inga yedu ya Zimbabwe. Tinawaita kuigirai muri Zimbabwe. Irunetsa nyaya amendment constitution idawanikwa ichipromota kutonga kwa Mnangagwa. Mamiriro zvakaita zvikunzi extension yeterm irikufana kuwanikwa ichipasiswa necabinet. Hanza Mnangagwa arifana kutonga kusvika mugore ra 2030 zvakare zvikunzi izvo citizens are kuwanikwa asabvumidzwe kuvota zvikunzi president anenge akuvoterwa muparliament nemamembers of the parliament muri Zimbabwe zvikunzi papasina kumira mushe vachiwenga havasi kufara nechiitiko ichochi. Nyaya yakatangwa nageneral attorney Virginia Mabiza mushure mekunge vakataura vachiti nyaya yekuvoterwa neparliament iri modeled kunyika dzakaita sana Botswana pamwe chete naSouth Africa. Zvinova zvisina kufadza General Chiwenga varunzi mumeeting vakamisa vamabhiza vachitaura vachi don't mention South Africa. Hanzi South Africa yasiyana nesu takawana sununguko nehondo chinhu chofanira kurespecta. Masoja akarwa hondo muri Zimbabwe yaibuditswa NaMyZimbabwe.com vachitaura vachiti while the streets of Harare and Bulawayo hammered with the quiet desperation of citizens navigating a crumbling economy, a far more surgical operation was being conducted within the sterile corridors of MuMeeting building. The recent cabinet approval of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2026 was not merely a routine legal procedure. It was a calculated political masterstroke executed with the kind of precision usually reserved for military maneuvers. As Zimbabweans queue for basic commodities and grappled with the daily erosion of their purchasing power, the executive moved with startling speed to extend presidential terms from 5 to 7 years, effectively resetting the clock for President Mnangagwa. The sudden acceleration of this 2030 narrative has exposed the raw nerves of a ruling party locked in a fierce internal struggle for survival and succession. What was once whispered in the dark corners of ZANU-PF provincial meetings, the ED 2030 and Anenga Achipo slogans, has now been codified into a legislative agenda that threatens to dismantle the 2013 People's Constitution. This investigative piece deconstructs the internal power dynamics that forced this sudden move, revealing a story of midnight clauses, secret lobbying, and a vice president who very nearly derailed a cabinet session. Whose fury nearly derailed the cabinet session. The tension that has been simmering within ZANU-PF Presidium boiled over on Tuesday 10 February 2026 during a cabinet meeting that sources described as one of the most hostile in recent memory. Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, the retired army general who led the 2017 military coup, arrived not just with his usual routine, but with a set of prepared notes and a visible sense of grievance. Beside him sat NaSanyatwe, the recently retired Zimbabwe National Army commander, now serving as sports minister, who also appeared ready for a confrontation. The spark was ignited when Attorney General Virginia Mabiza began outlining the legal framework for the proposed amendments. When she suggested that the changes, which include moving from direct presidential elections to a system where Parliament elects the head of state, were modeled on the examples of South Africa and Botswana, Chiwenga could no longer contain himself. In a breach of cabinet etiquette that stunned those in attendance, he angrily interjected, "Don't mention South Africa." Chiwenga reportedly barked at the Attorney General. It is not independent and should not be mentioned in the same breath as liberation movements that fought to liberate their countries. The room fell into a heavy silence as Chiwenga continued his tirade, insisting that South Africa is no Independence Day and was therefore no example at all for Zimbabwe. The outburst was more than a history lesson. It was a direct challenge to the legal justification of a bill designed to keep Mnangagwa in power. President Mnangagwa, visibly irritated, was forced to intervene directly. Mnangagwa told Chiwenga to calm down, saying we all must be honest about the ethos of the liberation struggle. A source briefed on the meeting revealed, when Chiwenga insisted on finishing his prepared remarks, Mnangagwa reportedly barked back, "I'm the president." The rush to approve the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2026 is widely seen by constitutional experts as a move to neutralize internal succession battles before the next party elective Congress. By extending the presidential term to 7 years, the amendment effectively pushes the next major electoral hurdle beyond the current constitutional limit of 2028, stretching Mnangagwa's mandate to 2030. For Chiwenga and his allies, the proposed removal of direct presidential elections is the most bitter pill to swallow. Under the new model, the head of state would be selected by members of parliament rather than the general electorate. Chiwenga fears this system would weaken the authority of the party leader and make leadership outcomes vulnerable to manipulation by the will-heeled members of the party, those who hold the businessmen and the elites who have increasingly surrounded Mnangagwa. The political theater in the cabinet room was not just about legal theory, it was about who holds the keys to the future. Defense Minister Oppah Muchinguri reportedly pushed back against the military faction, challenging Chiwenga NaSanyatwe's attempt to claim superior liberation credentials. The internal fracturing suggests that while ZANU-PF maintains a numerical dominance in parliament, the consensus on how to manage the Mnangagwa forever era is far from settled. Ndomabuditsiro aitwa nyaya muri Zimbabwe nemaizimbabwe.com tisingazive kuti munoiona sei tudziwo zvamuri kufunga mu comment section.
It means kuti they are bound to the constitution and they must act in defense of the constitutional order yemunyika, and they should not be in a position, or they should not be put in a position whereby they obey unlawful orders. We were wondering what happened on the August 1st, who gave the order to go and kill civilians. And by upholding, this constitution, it means kuti they cannot act outside what they are mandated to do, the constitutional limits. And they've got also a duty to resist any unconstitutional conduct. That is a very substantive obligation, and it is not a procedural one. That is what we need to know. In its state, when it comes to be upholding this constitution, but what the amendment seeks to do is to replace the wording to uphold this constitution with in accordance with the constitution. That kind of constitutional language that they are trying to use right there is a downgrading of the roles and responsibilities of the ZDF when it comes to the constitution. Because when you're upholding, you are translating it to an active duty. They've got an active duty. But when we start to use the language in accordance with, it is a conditional compliance. So what we are having is, with the upholding of the constitution, we are speaking of the wording that gives a mandate. The other one that is just ask them to operate within a framework. So what this government is, proposing is saying, or the argument that they are using, or the argument that they are putting forward, is to say they want to substitute or to delete the active duty and replace it with the conditional compliance. And they are arguing that if they do that, it is going to be reinforcing sections 213 and section 214. What do these sections refer to? The two sections 213 and 214, they deal with one who can deploy the defense forces. So in our situation is the president. And the 214, so 213 speaks of who can deploy, and 214 speaks of the parliamentary oversight. So looking at how parliament, must be informed. So when the government is making, this claim, that it is, they want to align Section 212 with the deployment, provisions, and they're arguing that it is going to um um sort of streamline things. That is what they are arguing. But if we cast a critical eye on this, the government is weakening the ZDF's duty to constitutionalism. Because if the ZDF is no longer going to be having that explicit obligation to uphold the constitution, then their duty becomes that of following orders, obedience to orders, and not to defend the constitutional order. So basically, we risk creating a situation whereby the loyalty of the ZDF is going to shift from the constitution to the executive, to Emerson Mnangagwa. And their responsibility is going to be reduced, the responsibility to resist unconstitutional command. Because if you're now answering to the executive, it means you have to follow what the executive is following you. Is telling you, even if it is unconstitutional. So there's a profound shift there in the relationship, in the civil military, relations. But we all know, Kuti, every institution or every state organ is already acting in accordance with the constitution anyway. So this amendment is never going to be aiding anything, but it is going to be removing, something. That something that it is going to be removing is going to lead to situations whereby the accountability, the ZDF's accountability is going to be narrowed. When it comes to us as the citizens now, we've got a right to challenge the military actions by saying you failed to uphold the constitution. But under the amendment that they are proposing, they're opening up to a test which becomes that we are going to be asking our army, did you act in accordance with the constitution? And this is a higher bar for us citizens and the courts, to prove. It's a higher bar because if Z is the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, the duty is no longer to the constitution but to the chain of command, then the power of the president is expanding. The parliamentary oversight is going to be weakened, and the risk of the military to become more politically vulnerable is heightened. And this is exactly what constitutional democracy is against. So that is what we are facing as Vanangwe Zimbabwe with this amendment. Yahweh Yawada Kuisai. I don't know, because some people were arguing that these changes, they want to water down the influence of the army, or water down or stop probably what happened in 27 in 2017. I'm not sure whether it is something that can be something. Yeah, I don't think, I don't know whether it is a point that can be deduced from this. But what they are trying to do is the safeguards that are in place are going to be, removed. I'm not sure what, their thinking, process is. I'm not sure what, they want, to achieve. But there are consequences to what, they're about to do. Because as it stands already, right now, all what, they're trying, to do is already catered for in this, constitution. There's no need to be changing, the wording. There's no need, for that. Our army, we've already come to know them within this constitution as having an independent constitutional, responsibility. That in addition to following orders, they are also bound directly by this constitution. So if the latter is removed, then their responsibility, their independent responsibility is narrowed, making them or exposing them to a situation whereby they are at the mercy of the president of authorized instructions instead of defending constitutionalism itself. Zvokuti kana imimi mukada kuendesa ningi any action inenge yaitwa defense forces kumatare edzimhosva, which is arguing kuti izvo they failed in their positive duty to prevent or resist unconstitutional acts. But now we are going to be asking the courts, to look at something else that is different from the mandate that the ZDF is given under the current, situation. Saka, I don't know. That is what, we are facing with this new one that, they want to, to bring. And the moment that, parliamentary and public scrutiny is watered down, it means they can even command the army to go out there and shoot the people, kill the people. Like what, Donald Trump was saying with dealing with the enemy, within. The army can be used, for that. Deployment of the army to deal with maybe strikes or demonstrations, which can be maybe dealt with by our riot police or the police, themselves. Saka, when we are looking at this, we don't want a situation whereby there is executive control or there's no oversight. And that is the path that they want to take us on. Yesterday we spoke about, the overreach. And you wonder by their amendment number one, by their, resolution number 1, how did we get here? How come we are here? How come we are looking at watering down the responsibility of the army? How come we are looking at a situation that it is going to be difficult to have parliamentary oversight? How come we are looking at a situation whereby it's going to be difficult for you, the public, to hold the army accountable when it comes to their duty of upholding, that constitution?